Hello, welcome to this channel. Today we will learn about the shocking audience reactions to the next week preview promo for October 27th to November 1st. The upcoming episodes promise intense drama as relationships fracture, long-buried secrets surface, and Salem residents face emotional reckonings that will change their lives forever. Speculative romance between Brady and Sarah. The preview footage has sparked widespread speculation among dedicated viewers about a potential romantic development between Brady Black and Sarah Horton Kyriakis. One particularly vocal fan theorizes that after their cathartic experience in the Rage Room, Brady and Sarah might seek another type of stress relief together, potentially crossing boundaries that could complicate their already messy personal situations. This prediction becomes even more explosive with the suggestion that Sarah could become pregnant with Xander's child while simultaneously developing romantic feelings for Brady, creating a triangle of emotional devastation. The parallel drawn to Sophia and Tate's storyline suggests viewers anticipate another "who's the daddy" scenario playing out, with Sarah potentially sleeping with both Xander and Brady during this tumultuous period, leaving paternity uncertain and relationships shattered beyond repair. The mysterious Liam connection. Intriguing speculation has emerged regarding Liam Selejko's true identity and family connections in Salem. Some astute viewers believe Liam might actually be Dr. Mike Horton's son with Ivy Selejko Jannings from when she returned to Salem in 1986, which would give him deep roots in one of the show's legacy families. This theory extends further to suggest Liam should have an older brother named Charles Peter Jannings, creating an entire hidden family storyline waiting to be explored. The speculation makes narrative sense given the show's history of revealing long-lost children and hidden family connections, especially involving the Horton family legacy. Hank Northrup's debut as Liam introduces him as Abe Carver's literacy mentee, but more troubling is the revelation that Liam was Theo Carver's high school bully, creating immediate conflict and tension that suggests his presence in Salem will be anything but peaceful. Divided opinions on Sarah and Xander. Viewer reactions remain sharply divided regarding Sarah and Xander's deteriorating relationship dynamics. One segment of fans has noticed that lately Sarah's interactions with Xander have consisted almost entirely of arguing rather than romance, suggesting their connection has become toxic and unsustainable. However, another vocal group insists they cannot envision Brady and Sarah together romantically, adamantly maintaining that Xander and Sarah possess undeniable chemistry that transcends their current problems. These fans argue that despite Sarah's repeated declarations that she cannot be with Xander, history proves they inevitably reunite, making this separation just another temporary obstacle in their passionate and complicated love story. Some viewers suggest Sarah should take an extended break from Xander until he can genuinely improve himself and become a better man worthy of her love and trust. The Rage Room solution. Multiple commenters expressed confusion and criticism about the Rage Room concept introduced in the preview. One viewer questioned why Xander himself didn't utilize the Rage Room if such a facility exists in Salem, suggesting it might have prevented his violent outburst against Philip that destroyed his marriage and family relationships. This sentiment was echoed by others who believe both EJ and Xander should visit the Rage Room instead of acting like immature children throwing tantrums when they don't get their way. The therapeutic concept of a Rage Room. Where individuals can safely release anger and frustration by destroying objects, appears to be Sarah's method of processing her betrayal and heartbreak over Xander's deception and violence. Brady takes Sarah on this unconventional field trip, explaining that she should channel all her fury into smashing everything around her, creating a visually dramatic scene that symbolizes the complete destruction of her marriage. Maggie's controversial position. The audience remains deeply divided about Maggie Kyriakis' harsh stance against Xander following the Philip incident. Critics point out the blatant hypocrisy in Maggie's position, reminding viewers that she remained married to Victor Kyriakis despite his consistently bad behavior for decades, knowing full well about Victor's approval of violence and criminal activities yet choosing to stay comfortable with her inheritance and life in her mausoleum. These fans argue that Maggie has never acknowledged her daughter as anything less than perfect, failing to recognize that Sarah's actions and deceptions contributed significantly to the consequences that followed. Xander attempted genuine self-improvement for the first time, and regardless of whether keeping Philip's secret was right or wrong, Philip orchestrated his redemption to ensure his crimes would be forgiven and forgotten, manipulating Sarah into believing his version of events. Now Maggie has destroyed a marriage and wants to play the victim card as if her daughter bears no responsibility for the situation's deterioration. Supporting characters and storylines. Viewers expressed appreciation for seeing Abe and Julie share scenes together, highlighting the importance of legacy characters maintaining presence and relevance in current storylines. Speculation continues about the real Tony DiMera's whereabouts if the current Tony turns out to be Andre in disguise, a theory that has gained significant traction among longtime fans. Many adamantly believe Brady should not become romantically involved with Sarah because of the inevitable complications with Xander, warning that such entanglement would only create more pain and destruction for everyone involved. The consensus suggests that while Sarah constantly claims she cannot be with Xander, viewers know reconciliation is inevitable, making any decision to cut him loose permanently feel temporary and ultimately futile. The adoption storyline complications. Amy's role in the adoption storyline has generated significant frustration among viewers who see her as the primary obstacle preventing a positive resolution. Some fans wouldn't be surprised if Amy decides she wants to raise the baby herself despite initially planning to give the child up for adoption, creating emotional chaos for everyone involved in the process. The suggestion emerges that Sophia should work directly with an adoption agency, clearly communicating the qualities she seeks in prospective parents, including strong Christian values, rather than relying on personal connections that Amy can manipulate and control. Viewers blame Amy for wasting everyone's time, arguing that even if Johnny hadn't withdrawn from consideration, she would have found another reason to disapprove of the arrangement, exercising excessive control over her daughter's decisions. The Tony DiMera mystery deepens. EJ's announcement that his brother Tony has gone missing sends shockwaves through Salem and confirms viewer suspicions that something sinister is unfolding. Astute fans theorize that Tony hasn't simply disappeared but has been kidnapped by either Megan or Andre, held hostage while an imposter lives his life. The overwhelming consensus among longtime viewers is that the person currently residing in the DiMera mansion and posing as Tony is actually Andre DiMera, somehow resurrected and masquerading as his brother with a hidden agenda. This theory gained credibility because Tony's behavior has grown increasingly strange and sinister, completely out of character for the real Tony DiMera that fans have known for decades. Viewers hope Irna DiMera will discover the truth about Tony's kidnapping and launch her own investigation to find and rescue her beloved husband from whatever danger he faces. Maggie and Sarah's accountability issues. The harshest criticism from viewers targets both Maggie and Sarah for their refusal to acknowledge their own roles in the current crisis. Fans point out that Maggie never sees her daughter as capable of terrible actions or deserving of the consequences she faces, always positioning Sarah as an innocent victim regardless of her choices and deceptions. Philip has moved past the incident and chosen forgiveness, yet Maggie and Sarah refuse to let the matter rest, clinging to their anger and sense of victimization. The observation that Sarah is an adult woman yet throws tantrums as though she were 15 years old resonates with frustrated viewers tired of watching her avoid personal accountability. Maggie's threat to do everything in her power to send Xander to prison prompts his warning that Philip would accompany him, highlighting how both women protected Philip while condemning Xander for the same type of deception they themselves practiced. Mixed reactions to new storylines. While some viewers expressed enthusiasm about the dramatic week ahead, others voiced skepticism and fatigue with repetitive patterns. The excitement surrounding Hank Northrop's debut as Liam reflects genuine interest in fresh characters and new storylines, particularly given his connection to soap opera legacy through his late father Wayne Northrop. However, the cynicism about Sarah and Xander's separation reflects viewer exhaustion with the constant cycle of breakups and reconciliations that never lead to genuine character growth or relationship evolution. The Rage Room scenes promise visually dramatic moments, but some question whether they represent meaningful character development or simply spectacle designed to generate social media buzz without substantive storytelling. The celebration scenes at the Brady pub featuring Belle's birthday party with Stephanie, Alex, Chanel, and Johnny drinking beer received positive feedback from fans who appreciate seeing characters enjoy normal social interactions rather than constantly embroiled in crisis and conflict. The passionate and divided reactions to this preview demonstrate the deep investment viewers maintain in these characters and storylines, even when frustrated by creative choices that seem to recycle familiar conflicts rather than chart bold new territory for Salem's residents. Part 2. Is this the end of Sarah and Xander? A love torn apart by betrayal and regret. For years, fans of Days of Our Lives have watched the roller coaster love story between Sarah Horton and Xander Kyriakis, a pairing that, against all odds, seemed destined to overcome every obstacle. They had survived heartbreak, lies, separations, and the shadow of Xander's darker past. But this time, things feel different. This time, even those who still cling to hope can sense that something in Sarah has broken beyond repair. The truth finally came out: Xander attacked Phillip. It wasn't rumor or misunderstanding, it was real, and Xander didn't deny it. When Sarah confronted him, he didn't try to twist the story or shift the blame. He confessed. He looked into her eyes, filled with sorrow and shame, and admitted what he had done. And for Sarah, that was the final straw. She had given him so many chances. She had listened to his tearful apologies, believed in his promises to change, and even defended him when no one else would. But now, she couldn't anymore. This was different. This wasn't a harmless lie or a mistake made in a moment of weakness. This was violence, cruelty, the very thing she had always feared would resurface from the man she loved. Xander, to his credit, didn't try to excuse it. "I'll regret it for the rest of my life," he said quietly, his voice breaking. But for Sarah, regret wasn't enough. "We're really, really over," she told him, and this time, it sounded final. She knew all the words before he even said them. The same pattern had repeated itself too many times: the begging, the promises to do better, the tears that came too late. "I can't trust you anymore," she told him, her voice trembling but firm. "We're not here anymore." And with that, she took off her wedding ring, the symbol of their love, now tainted by betrayal, and placed it on the table. Then she told him to leave the house. When the door closed behind him, the silence that followed was almost unbearable. Sarah stood alone in the Kyriakis' mansion, her heart aching, her eyes wet with tears she tried so hard to hold back. Later, Maggie found her sitting by the fireplace, staring into the flames. The warmth of the fire did little to ease the chill that had settled in her heart. "He is," Sarah whispered when Maggie asked if it was true. "He was evil, Mom." Maggie, always gentle and understanding, could have reminded her that people are complicated, that good and evil are rarely black and white. But she didn't. She saw the pain in her daughter's eyes and knew that this wasn't the moment for moral lessons. Sometimes, what a mother must do is simply sit beside her child and let her grieve. Still, as Sarah spoke, her words didn't match the look on her face. She said she would never love Xander again, that she was done forever, yet her voice cracked on the word, never, and her eyes filled with sadness. It was clear that even as she condemned him, part of her heart was still breaking for the man she had once believed in. The conversation between mother and daughter drifted between reflection and heartbreak. Maggie admitted she had seen the signs, that she had known something wasn't right. Sarah nodded. "I think I knew it too," she confessed softly. "I just didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe that he could really change." Meanwhile, across town, Xander was sitting in a dimly lit room at the Salem Inn, a half-empty bottle of beer in his hand. His brother Phillip was there, nursing his own wounds, both physical and emotional. "So that's it, then?" Phillip asked. "That's it," Xander replied, staring into space. His voice was hollow, defeated. "She's done with me. And this time, I can't blame her." Phillip, who had every reason to hate his brother after what happened, surprised him with a flicker of compassion. "If I can forgive you," he said quietly, then so can she. But Xander only shook his head. You don't know her like I do. Once Sarah's heart turns cold, that's it. She'll never look back. It was a moment of rare honesty for both men, one broken by guilt, the other by pain. And yet, there was a strange, almost tragic tenderness in the air. These were two men who had spent years competing, fighting, resenting each other. But tonight, they were just two brothers trying to make sense of the wreckage their lives had become. Xander's confession to Philip wasn't just about the attack or about Sarah, it was about everything he had lost along the way. His family, his dignity, and now, perhaps for good, the only woman who ever truly saw goodness in him. Back at the Kiriakis' mansion, Sarah stood by the fire long after Maggie had gone upstairs. The flames flickered and danced, reflecting in her tear-filled eyes. Somewhere deep inside, she knew that love like theirs doesn't simply disappear overnight. But sometimes love isn't enough, not when trust has been shattered beyond repair. Maybe one day, when the pain has faded, Sarah will be able to forgive. Maybe Xander will finally prove that he can change, not through words, but through actions. But for now, Salem has lost one of its most passionate couples, undone not by circumstance or fate, but by the choices that define who we truly are. And as the night deepens and the fire burns low, one question lingers in the quiet air of the Kiriakis' mansion: is this truly the end of Sarah and Xander, or just another painful chapter in a love story that refuses to die?